Okay, so here are your notes on probability and sample space. Now, I know you've heard the word probability before, like the probability of it raining today is 38%. Okay, or the probability of you landing heads instead of tails is 1 out of 2. Okay, so our objective today is I can use probability to make predictions, and I can use a tree diagram to show all possible outcomes. Now, those words you may seem confused right now, but don't worry. We'll have you unconfused by the end of this video. Okay, so let's start out with some vocabulary. An event is something that may happen, something that can happen. The event of it raining, like I said, would be 38%. The probability of an event is a number describing the chance that the event will happen. So that 38% is the probability describing the fact that it may rain. So there's some important things to know about probability. It's an event that can happen from 0 to 1. If it's closer to not happening, it's closer to 0. If it's likely of happening, like me checking to make sure that you did your notes, it's going to be closer to 1. It's going to be 1. Okay? So it's going to be a part of a whole. What does that sound like? A part of a whole. I think that could possibly be a ratio. And it can be written as a fraction, decimal, or percent. So do you think there may be some converting going on? So let's look at our first example. When you flip a penny, you can have two outcomes. You can land on heads or you can land on tails. So the way that we write this is the probability of the event. It's the likelihood of that event, or so the number of favorable outcomes. So that means the outcome that we're talking about, the one that you favor, the one that you like the most, like the teacher. Okay, so we're talking about, let's look at the favorable outcome of heads. If you flip a coin, how many outcomes can you have? Well, you're either going to get heads or tails. And if we're talking about heads, it's going to be 1. 1 out of 2, or 5/10, or 50%. Let's look at our second example. So we've got a little wheel here. Let's look at a couple different ones. Okay, let's look at the probability of orange, of spinning on an orange. Okay, remember, this is a probability of the event. The event we're talking about is landing on orange. We're going to list our total outcomes. How many sections do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 possible outcomes. What are the odds of me landing on orange? Or what is my favorable outcome? 1. Let's look at the probability of pink. Again, I still have 6 possible outcomes with 2 pink. What can I do to this? This is a fraction. This is also a ratio. And what can I do to both? I can reduce. So 1/3. Now let's look at the probability of green. I still have 6 possible outcomes with 3 green. I can reduce this. And 1/2 is also 5/10, or so I have a 50% chance of landing on a green if I spin 1 time. Okay, so we've talked about the event. The event is what we're looking for. We've talked about probability. It's the actual number given to that event. Okay, so we've talked about probability event. Favorable outcomes is what we're looking for. Possible outcomes is the total thing happening. Let's move on. We're going to talk about sample space. Okay, so you can figure out, work with this two different ways, okay? So you're at a hot wing restaurant, and you have the following options. Flavor, you can get regular spicy. Type, you can get bone in or bone out. I like bone in. I know it's harder, but I like bone in. Dressing, you can get ranch, blue cheese, or jalapeno ranch. So let's look at the way that question can be asked is, how many possible outcomes can you have? We're going to get to that one second. I want to do what are all the possible outcomes you can have, or what is the sample space? You know what a sample is. It's like a little bit part of it. Okay, so we want to see the sample space. So let's do some labels. Okay, so we have what type? Oh, nope. Scratch that. We have what flavor? Then we have what type? And then we have dressing. So flavor, we can have regular or spicy. Now for regular, we can order bone in or bone out. We can also do the same for spicy. We can order spicy, bone in, or bone out. So if we order regular bone in, what kind of dressing can we get? We can get ranch, we can get blue cheese, or jalapeno ranch. And we can do the same for if we get regular bone out. We can still get ranch with blue cheese or jalapeno ranch. Okay, so let's just look at the regular. This is called the sample space or the tree diagram. Okay, so if you want to, you can draw it this way too. I like it this way. So one of my options is regular, bone in with ranch, regular, bone in with blue cheese, regular, bone in with jalapeno ranch. I'm also going to get the same for bone out. I can get regular, bone out with ranch, regular, bone out with jalapeno ranch, or regular, bone out, ooh, I forgot, I skipped blue cheese. So just for that one thing, I can have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different options. And I would do the same for the spicy bone in and spicy bone out. So I can have, Miss Gomez didn't plan very well, ranch, blue cheese, and jalapeno ranch, blue cheese, and jalapeno ranch. So I'm going to have the same amount of options or possible outcomes, except this is all going to be spicy. So let's see if you can list it out. So the first one is going to be spicy, bone in with ranch, and I want you to see if you can keep going. So I have 2 different flavor options, 2 different types with 3 different dressing options. 2 times 2 is 4, times 3 is 12. And just for the first part, I have 6. So for the second part, I'm also going to have 6. So I will have 12 possible outcomes, and this is going to be my sample space once you're complete. Let me know if you have any questions.